States. Simon from Weaponized News with an update on the events overnight in the United States. Simon, the legend, is on the line now. Simon, go ahead.
Greeting to you, Mr. Galloway, and to your worldwide audience. So one thing that's just come out in the last hour or so is the Federal Department of Justice have announced that they are immediately, and this was unexpected, they thought they were just going to drift on until the personnel changed, but they are immediately ending their 2 federal legal cases against Donald Trump. So that's a great respite for him during his transition period. Now, we have some transition issues, and we have some day one issues, and then we have some short-term issues. And then if I may, very, very quickly, and I appreciate it sounds a lot, but I'll compare to what the Chinese and Russian and the axis of resistance response to this outcome. So we've got to see that there are some issues that have been kicked beyond the election day that now fall due during what they call the lame duck period, okay? So we have the dock workers strike that was temporarily delayed. We have the debt ceiling that was completely suspended. That's allowed unlimited borrowing. And we also have the budget that at the moment is a complete hash up that's been rolled over like quarter by quarter, which is obviously a very undesirable situation for any kind of planning. Plus, of course, Smotrich, as I had previously reported to you, had that deadline last week of the correspondent banking indemnification, and he only rolled that for 1 month to carry it into this lame duck period. And of course, Anthony Blinken and Lloyd Austin, the US foreign minister and US defense minister, they gave Netanyahu a 30-day deadline to increase aid into Gaza. That deadline also is going to mature all during this lame duck session. So we've got to see who Trump surrounds himself with his announcement for the cabinet officers that are then going to have to go through a Senate confirmation procedure in the new year. That's obviously hugely consequential that the Republicans, it appears certain, will be controlling the chairmanship of all of those confirmation committees. That makes it much likely that he'll get the people that he has selected. But on day one, the issue then becomes, will he do what Joe Biden did, which is, in the case of 2020, when Joe Biden came in 2021 January, he signed, whilst admitting that he wasn't even sure what they said, 64 executive orders that moved around government budgets and policy priorities to a great, great extent, and cancelled some of President Trump's previous instructions. So will he undo the undoing on day one at the very same time that he says he's going to transform America's health, expel somewhere between 15 and 25 million people, which is easier said than done if you don't know what country they came from in the first place, because they destroyed their passports and refused to tell you, and you may not have a repatriation agreement with their original country. And then, of course, he's got these 2 major wars, and you see the reaction from the Israelis. Netanyahu was the very first world leader to reach out and congratulate Trump. They are cock-a-hoot about this situation, and they have used the distraction of the vote counting to remove the Israeli defense minister, who had been pushing back against some of the schemes of Netanyahu, move the foreign minister into the defense minister slot, and appoint his previous, now newly reconciled friend, Gideon Saar, into the post of the replacement foreign minister. So there's a lot of pieces moving there. Now, in the meantime, literally in the few days since we last spoke, you've had the Russians conducting what they called essentially a summit of the future, where Putin, in a use of a phrase about foresighting as opposed to forecasting, was looking more than 10 years into the future. The Chinese today and tomorrow are hosting the Mekong Region Summit, which is 6 countries plus them talking about their future. And the new Secretary General of Hezbollah, Mr. Naim Qassem, has given a very long and detailed speech explaining how he and the Houthis are not relying upon a Democrat or a Republican having won. They're focused intently on Netanyahu's plan to, quote, change the face of the Middle East. So that's a very, very fast synopsis of today through 10 years.
And a very
actually.
valuable one. And Iran hasn't spoken yet, of course, Simon, and that may shake up the kaleidoscope rather dramatically. Thanks as always, weaponizednews.com.